Good morning and namaskaram. One thing that connects all of us during this program is our desire to be in meditation, to practice meditation, to be in dhyan. We may have different goals for the reason for meditation. But since ancient times, dhyan is the precursor to samadhi or self-realization. It is practiced by the rishis of our ancient country. And today even children in schools practice it. Our goal may be different. Rishis wanted to become self-realized. Some of us want to have just peace of mind. But over the period of last few days, last 1 week, many of us would have realized that sitting for longer period of time is not an easy task, because our body doesn't allow us to sit for an extended period of time. But we are sitting only for about 21 to 25 minutes. Even for that, for us to sit without movement, some of us find it difficult, because we have no control or mastery over our body. We may also not have control over our mind. Body and mind are not in control. Samadhi or self-realization is a far-fetched idea. Because when we sit for dhyan, the primary requisite is to forget the body. Forget the body consciousness and move into an inner consciousness. But when we sit, if we are constantly thinking about the pain in our body here and there, we won't be able to focus on the one on which we are meditating. We will be aware of the breath, but mostly we will be aware of the pain in our body, which won't help you in your journey. So, the rishis of the olden times, they figured out that the most important thing is to make the body flexible, agile, and with an ability to sit for longer period of time. That is how the Yoga Shastras came. Today when we talk about yoga, we just talk about the asanas, the postures. But it is much, much more than that. Asanas are just one aspect of 8 things that are required to be practiced. But no doubt it is one of the most important, and probably the primary step. Most of us, we start meditation by sitting and wanting to go into a state of nothingness. And all of us are experiencing it at some level. Sometime during this 20-25 minutes, we do experience an emptiness. But most other times, our focus is outside of us. So that is where one aspect of yogic philosophy called asanas becomes very, very important for us. So today, let us look at why asanas, why the yoga asanas, and why it is important to one's even normal day-to-day life. Some of us goes for a walk in the morning, and maybe some of us go to a gym for exercising. But there's a big difference between yoga asana practices and the other physical exercises and cultures. We spoke about, when we meditate, how energy enters our body and how it travels through our body and how our chakras gets opened. How all these lead to a deep intuitive development for us. It happens. But for that to happen, all the energy vessels or our energy bodies need to be in good shape. That is primarily the first thing that happens when we start a spiritual journey. In addition to the physical body that we have, which we can see of each other, there are inner bodies. And these inner bodies, which are not visible to us, are the ones which carry the energy streams that enter us during our spiritual practices. Like blood moves through veins, energy moves through nadis, invisible energy tubes, crisscrossing all our body. There are said to be 72,000 nadis. The major one in our spinal cord, and then on either side of it, Ila and Pingala, Moon Nadi and Sun Nadi, plus so many more. But because of the lifestyle we led and the kind of food we take, kind of belief systems we have, kind of worldview we have, these nadis are in different states of existence. Some could be blocked due to accumulation of low energy. Some could be twisted, not in proper shape. So all this contribute to the inefficient movement of prana in our body. When we meditate, energy enters us. We saw that and we experienced it. But this energy need to get channelized properly. It need to move properly. From the top of your head to the tip of your toes and all over your body and through the chakras. It need to flow unhindered and powerful. But how smooth is its journey? That depends on our belief system, thought processes, kind of food we take, what time we get up, what time we go to bed, what is our basic self-culture during the day. They all contribute. This is where the yoga asanas come. When we go to a gymnasium and then do exercises, body develops. We feel good and we become energetic. We also start building muscles. And that is what interests many people because you can see some visible changes happening in your body. You've seen youngsters going to gym and then flexing their muscles. But when we do yoga, no such thing happens. And that's a dampener for certain people, and for some of us. But deeper than that, there is this tantric science wherein we are actually flexing the nadis in our system. Each nadi has a certain path. And when we meditate, the energy that enters us takes these paths. And depending on our understanding of the world, it goes to, or it opens up different chakras. Chakras are energy vortexes, points where the nadis come together. And each chakra gives us a certain experience, a certain understanding of the world. Our consciousness opens to a degree to which our chakras are open. If all the chakras are open 100%, then you are a Buddha. We are all on our journey, and all of us, these chakras are open to a certain degree. Our goal is to open it more, even though that is not our focus on a conscious level. On a conscious level, we are meditating. And when we meditate and when we do other practices, automatically these things will get to happen. Opening of chakras and feeling of intuitive powers and all these things will happen. But the aspects that we need to take care, what we need to do, we need to do. So instead of looking at asanas as a culture for body development, when we do, we have to look at it as a method for taking our body to the next level, in helping us move inward. If energy enters to the head and on the path it finds blocks, I won't say there ends a story, but then it impedes our growth. So, starting today, when we do yoga, you should have this conscious awareness that each posture that I do helps me in my inner journey. Which brings us to the most important aspect of practicing asanas itself. It is not about creating a six-pack body. It is all about how flexible, how agile our body is. How long can we sit quiet? We do so many different kinds of asanas, starting from Shirshasana, the headstand, to so many different varieties, sitting ones, those that take care of your spinal flexibility, asanas which take care of our hip area, hip opening, asanas which help us give balance. There are many. But do you know what is the ultimate aim of all these combined together? It is to give us the ability to sit one posture for as long as we want. If we can sit in one posture and forget about the world and our body, nothing like it. So, last 7 days, many of us, while we were sitting, felt the need to have a more healthy body. If you look at your own self in last 7 days, how many of us were able to sit constantly with absolutely no movement for these 21 minutes? That understanding would tell you how much control you have your body, how much fickle-minded sometimes we were. All this will change if we apply ourselves in yogic practices. The yogic philosophy is just an bringing together of all the spiritual practices given to us by Patanjali, sage Patanjali Maharshi, through his book called the Yoga Sutras. There he talks about 8 limbs, 8 aspects that would give us a deeper journey, starting from yamas, niyamas, asanas, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana and dhyana and samadhi. The last one being self-realization. And today we don't look at any of the other 6 aspects. We do take care of pranayama to an extent. So next time when you go to your yoga teacher, or some of your yoga teachers yourself, in your classes, you should mention the other aspects also. You should bring out the hidden agenda of yogic philosophy. The person who does or who comes to you shouldn't go back thinking this is just a physical exercise. On that note, let us meditate today. We can meditate on our breath today. Sit in a most comfortable posture. Clasp your hands finger to finger. Keep on your lap. Cross your feet. And start observing your normal breath. Relax your body, relax your mind, adjust your body if you need to. Sit quietly and sit steadily. Observe your breath. Observe each inhalation and each exhalation. Do not change the rhythm of your breath. Be with your breath. your focus be within your own self. Do not allow the outer world to touch you. Go within. Look inward. Stay focused. Be with your breath. Stay with your breath. Let your focus be around your breath. Let your focus be around each inhalation and each exhalation. Let your focus be over your breath. Observe each breath consciously, intensely, with full awareness. Breath by breath. Stay with your breath. Inhalation, exhalation. In breath, out breath. Be with your breath. No thoughts whatsoever in your mind. Just you and your breath. Be with your breath. Last 2 minutes, be with your breath. Full focus on your breath. Last minute. One more minute. Thirty seconds. Ten seconds. Five, four, three, two. Be with your breath. Keep observing. 1, 0. Take your time. Whenever you are ready. Take your time, no hurry. Whenever you are ready, clasp your hands. Drop your palms together. Hypnotize for 5 seconds. Beautiful meditation for a energizing week ahead. Read up a little about the philosophy of yoga. It is very interesting. And I'll see you in the evening.